So welcome to class number 3 in our educational series on housing and social justice. Our class today, as we did in the first 2 weeks, will be recorded, and those will be posted on the stgeorgeschurch.org website. We're going to ask during our presentations that you use the chat box for comments and questions. Our agenda is a short introduction of the hosts and an overview of the series, an opening poem to get us in the inspired mood, 3 presentations, and then a breakout at no later than 4:45 with small group discussion, and then a closing reading. I am a member of St. George's Episcopal Church in Arlington, and I'd like our seminarian who is helping us out today to introduce St. George's. Patty?
Thank you very much, Nina. My name is Patty, and I am the seminarian serving at St. George's, where I've been for the past year and a half or so. And I learned recently that St. George's, interestingly, is classified by the diocese as one of just a handful of parishes that are considered urban. And I'm not sure what the diocese means by that classification, but it does experience many of the unique challenges and opportunities that one would find in an urban landscape. For instance, there is a diverse ethnic, socioeconomic status, and a number of different demographic backgrounds inside and outside of St. George's. And the parish, from its inception, really as a fairly working class parish into more of a middle class parish, has been involved in various efforts to help remove barriers and opportunities for people in the neighborhood. And it currently is today, and Nina has been a big part of that. So we invite you to come worship with us, either by a live stream or in person. And we are just very happy to have this opportunity to host this.
Great, thank you. And I am, in addition to a member of St. George's, the president of the board of trustees of Virginia Diocesan Homes. We are an organization that's almost 60 years old and closely linked to creating housing opportunities in the diocese, including our history of helping to create Goodwin House in Northern Virginia. And we are continuing to work on this issue of housing and how is housing part of our mission call as a diocese. And here's an overview. Again, we have a 7-week series. Very excited about today, talking about refugee and immigrant housing issues. Next week, we'll talk about seniors and persons with disabilities, and then we've got a couple more classes on the topics you can see here. Each of these will build on each other, but you can also come to any class and pick that up. And we are, again, trying to record these classes, so hopefully if you miss a class, you can pick it up on the St. George's website. And we thought it'd be helpful to start off with a poem. Vikram Seth is a poet who shares time between India and England. And speaks somewhat to the issues we're talking about today.
A poem by Vikram Seth. All you who sleep tonight, far from the ones you love, no hand to left or right, and emptiness above. Know that you aren't alone. The whole world shares your tears, some for 2 nights or 1, and some for all their years.
Thank you, Patty. So we have today an amazing panel. We have 3 women leaders who are co-founders or part of leading 3 nonprofit organizations that work in the space with the immigrant and refugee community. And they'll each speak for about 10 minutes, and you'll get to learn about what they do and also what the challenges that are related to this community and their housing needs. So I'll start with Wendy Chan, who is a parishioner at St. George's Episcopal Church and the co-founder of the St. George's Refugee Ministry. She'll talk a lot more about that, so you'll hear about that wonderful program that we're so proud of at St. George's being co-sponsors of that. Wendy is an executive at Accenture Federal Services, and she also has wonderful, amazing degrees from the University of Pennsylvania, Johns Hopkins, and UC Berkeley, and has won many awards for her work. Wendy, let me turn this over to you.
Thank you, Nina. It is such a pleasure to be speaking on the panel today and on this very important issue, housing and social justice for refugees. As Nina introduced, I am a parishioner at St. George's. I've been with St. George's for a long time, since I want to say 2015, 2014, 2015. And it is such a joyful and really vibrant community. I am so glad to call St. George's my spiritual home. Also at St. George's, we are super proud of our refugee ministry. If you can move to the next slide, I wanted to highlight really quickly what the refugee ministry is about. It was launched back in 2017 at the height of the Syrian refugee crisis. If you all may remember, it was a time when the world was seeing people fleeing the Syrian civil war. At the same time, our country was really kind of turning our backs and shutting our doors at the refugees. And during that time, I was really disturbed by what our politicians were doing. And given I am a immigrant myself, and I have many refugees in my home stories, and I just felt like I have to do something. So that's when I grabbed my friend Norma Kaysen, who's also a St. George's parishioner, and the two of us got together and decided to start with an education series just like this one, to really show the world who are the refugees and how can they get involved. And subsequently, that effort has now evolved into a really wealth of community and different initiative all stem from that initiative. And our model is really to really be that tide that lift up all boats. So unlike many of the other churches which focus on very deep wraparound services to support one or a few refugee families, which is incredibly important and helpful, we decided to go for a different route, where our model is really to build that connectivity and network in order to support all the communities and churches. They're doing really good work in helping refugees. If you can move on to the next slide. Our refugee ministry is really kind of consists of a multiple of initiative. A big initiative is around One Journey, which is a national initiative now that organizes events across the country to celebrate refugee talents and contributions through what we call the common language of humanity: food, music, dance, stories, and technology, really bringing people together so that they can meet the refugees and the newcomers and the immigrants and really see the talents that the contributions that they bring to our economy, and also connecting to local opportunities to take action. And you'll hear a little bit more about the One Journey Festival that we're bringing together every year at the National Cathedral. The other two pieces is really what externally known as the Nova Friends of Refugees. This is really resettlement specific. Nova Friends of Refugees now has built a network of more than 1,500 members, all connected to support refugee resettlement needs, including housing, education, and other type of resettlement services, and also doing advocacy work to support refugees. The Nova Friends of Refugee work is really focusing on the greater DMV area, and where we provide specific sort of what would traditionally be seen as the direct services, as well as advocacy and community building. So that's a quick overview of the St. George's Refugee Ministry in a nutshell. So what do we do for Nova Friends of Refugees? As I mentioned earlier, housing and providing selective rental support is really important to the refugee community, especially in the recent years. And I can go into a little bit more detail on that. In addition to housing, we also provide employment, career mentorship, entrepreneurial support. We also connect refugees with the people in our network to get legal assistance, as well as do essential goods distribution and education and ESL tuition assistance. In terms of the essential goods distribution, we actually partnered with T-Mobile a few months ago and distributed more than 500 devices, free handset, as well as data plans to support refugees who are newly come to the community last couple months ago, and we're really proud of doing that. Um, so let me now dive into specifically on the housing, why housing is such a challenge for the refugee community. Nina, if you can move on to the next slide, thank you. There are a number of reasons why refugee community really needs special attentions around housing. First, I want to highlight the immediate, the needs of short-term emergency needs versus long-term affordable housing. As you know, as we all know, long-term affordable housing is such a challenge for all communities in the greater Northern Virginia area, particularly for those who are vulnerable, such as immigrants and refugees and ethnic minorities. But the refugees themselves, because of the, especially with the recent evacuation, what happened in the fall of 2021 with the fall of the US-backed Afghan government, we saw a huge influx of refugees coming into the US through the evacuation effort led by the Biden administration. Um, in the fall of 2021, our country evacuated more than 80,000 Afghan refugees and moved them to the United States. A significant portion of them, I want to say roughly 5,000 to 6,000 of them, actually got resettled in the DMV Northern Virginia area, in Virginia area in general. So that adds a lot of pressure from a short-term emergency standpoint to really open up housing needs to support refugees. And as our economy, as our kind of ecosystem in supporting refugees get acclimated to that, you know, Ukraine happened, and now our administration is accepting Ukrainian refugees, and I think we have approved travel for Ukrainian refugees up to 100,000 of them to come into the United States. And again, Northern Virginia is not quite as the top as for the Afghan community, but there is a significant Ukrainian population coming into the DMV area, particularly in the Silver Spring area. So we're seeing, because of the global political situation, there is a big wave of newcomers coming into the country, and therefore adding that need to open up some more supply for short-term emergency housing for this population. But as they resettle, right, I think in general, these individuals often comes with very little properties or, you know, assets. Many just came with clothes on their back, literally clothes on their back. And so therefore, you know, in order to help them stand up, be able to kind of establish the livelihood and able to kind of build up that assets to pay for housing, there's a lot of community support and resources, but there's also a need for calling more supply of longer term affordable housing so that we can help these families really kind of stand on their feet and really integrate and be successful again. So that is the kind of the current situation with short-term versus long-term housing needs for this population. The other aspect that is really interesting with the refugee community is that, especially for those who come from, you know, culture that is less sort of European centric, such as Afghan and other African community, the refugee community often have large families. So for many of the Afghan families that we're helping, they have at least 4 to 5 children, sometimes even 7 to 8 children, right? So because of that, we all know that the US housing market is really not set up for large family sizes, and that adds another level of barrier to finding the right affordable housing for the refugee community. Third, another important point is that these individuals don't often have access to transportation. Either they don't have the, you know, the means to purchase a car, or that they just don't have, you know, well, in general, they just don't have the means to purchase a car, or even have the credit history to really borrow money to purchase a car, right? So they really need housing that is near public transportation in order for them to be able to get to their jobs. So housing and public transportation really goes hand in hand in order for for the refugees to be able to find employment that is sustainable in the long run. And last but not least, I highlighted this earlier that many of them come from a country where there's really no usage of credit cards, and therefore they came without any credit history or let alone a stable income, right? So as we all know, in order to rent an apartment, you often have to get credit checked by the landlord, right? So many of the refugees really have that additional challenge of not having any credit history and therefore unable to really access housing market in a way that that is set up. And so the current infrastructure is really kind of keeping a lot of them into accessing rental market here. So all of that is to say it is particularly challenging for the refugee community, in addition to what the rest of the community are already facing, to really access affordable housing. So what are the ways, what are the things you can do to really make a difference in this area? I would say, from a short-term perspective, if you own a house, particularly if you own an independent unit, such as an apartment that is near public transportation, would encourage you to really consider renting to refugee individuals, right? And connecting the best way to offer your housing to this community is to connect with the local resettlement agencies. There are currently many nonprofits there are helping refugees. They're funded by the State Department as well as the Health and Human Services Department to really support refugee resettlement. And these are called resettlement agencies. And so they provide that kind of wraparound services to to the new coming community families, and therefore connecting with them to offer housing options is the best way to make your unit available to this community. Another way to support is really joining Nova Friends of Refugees. As I mentioned, we are currently at 1,500 members strong and growing as we speak. And if you join this network, you'll find that there are many requests. Just 2 days ago, we got an email from someone in the DMV area asking, does anybody have a room to help two refugee women, one from Ethiopia, one from Afghanistan? They just need that emergency short-term housing. So if you're connected and join Nova Friends of Refugees, you'll get those latest requests and information about all things refugee resettlement related, and you can just kind of dive in and offer whatever you can. I also wanted to highlight, while One Journey does not specifically focus on housing, but it's a really wonderful way for you to get connected to this community and also all the organizations working in this community. So I mentioned to you earlier that every June at the National Cathedral, we bring together thousands of people to celebrate refugees and their stories of resilience and hope. So this year it will be on Saturday, June 24th from 11 to 6 p.m. at the National Cathedral again. We have celebrity speakers. In the past, the very first year we had Jose Andres came and did a cooking show with the refugee chef. We have music and dance and technology, storytelling, kids area where we engage the kids to all come and celebrate refugees. This year we're actually partnering with Sesame Street, and we're going to bring Grover to the festival to welcome refugees. So it's a really fun-filled event, free event. We encourage all of you to sign up to RSVP and spread the words to your community so that we can all come and show solidarity with the refugees. And we definitely need volunteers for One Journey. It's a free 100% volunteer power organization, and we need 250 volunteers on that day, just that day alone, to support and to make sure that the festival is run smoothly. So if you have time, or your friends and your family have time, please sign up on our website as well, and I can ping the website in the chat after this presentation. And that is it from me. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Wendy. It's great to learn about this and hear your enthusiasm as the founder. Our next speaker is an amazing woman, Jeanette Valenzuela. She's a parent leader and community advocate that's been working with immigrant families for 25 years, including 16 of those in the schools, and helping people to get their voices heard that are not usually heard in public forums. She was a founder of the Arlington Schools Hispanic Parents Network in 2016, and that group has expanded to go from middle school to high school, and now is reaching out to include Mongolian and Arabic speakers. Janeth, I'm gonna stop sharing so that we can spotlight you and you can talk about your organization.
Hey, hi everybody, and thank you for inviting me to this session, which is really great to hear everything about the presentation that it just happened. It's you know, how much that we get from people, from refugees, from immigrants into this beautiful country. You know, there is a lot. But I'm here, I'm also a parent, and I've been doing this job for 25 years, as you read. And I started helping in my community with what was going on in the community. Then my son started joining the schools. Then I started working in schools. I created the first group of parents at Carling Elementary School, Carling Springs. And then my son moved to middle school, which I moved to middle school, and then subsequently to high school. But I stay on Kenmore Middle School because I think Kenmore is the heart of the community, where we have parents come in. It's big. It's the principal is really nice person to let you have meetings in there with the rest of the community. Not only people that they have kids at the school, they can come parents from different APLs schools. So that actually gave me the opportunity to work with different families in the area, and specifically with moms. Usually moms are more connected to schools than dads. But then during these sessions, we used to meet every Wednesday in the morning, and we used to have guests to come and speak at different issues. But one of them what attracted my attention was the living conditions of certain affordable homes. So we invited somebody from the county to give us a class of know your rights, you know, for living, renting, and all of that. So after that, it impacted me so bad that the majority of the families that they were working with me, they were living in horrible conditions. You know, that I couldn't believe it, that those moms, they were coming every Wednesday to learn things, how to navigate the education system in the United States to help their kids, but they were also challenging the living conditions in their places. Most of them, they live in affordable homes. And then as a general use of term of, affordable homes is housing assistance for low income individuals or residents, right? So I wanted to know why was this happening to them, because they were supposed to be taken care by the county or by the government, at least, you know, because it's a assisted housing, it's an affordable housing. Most of them, they want to call affordable, but affordable word to me right now is associated to injustice, and is associated to discrimination, and to no dignity or respect. So many immigrants, they come here looking for a better opportunities to work, running sometimes from different issues in their countries, political, economical, and different issues. So they want to have their roots in here, have a better life for them and their kids, a place to call home. But a place to call home for them is a challenge, especially for the immigrant families. They have so many barriers, starting with the language when they come here. And people in affordable homes, as in immigrants, they have to live in the horrible conditions because they don't have voice, They don't know who to go with, who to talk, because they thinking, you know, that if I say something, if I went and argue, this is happening in my unit, they're gonna kick me out of here. And I still seeing the same fear as I start seeing when I started all these housing problems. It's sad that they get into the point sometimes comfort, like we deserve this because we are immigrants. Nobody deserves to live on those conditions. And I think immigrants, we are not a burden to the county or to the United States because we work hard. We do jobs that sometimes people don't want to do it, and the pay is low. But we stay here. We support America too. I'm sorry that sometimes I get emotional because what I'm telling you is what I heard and what I see from people. Sometimes people don't know what these families go through. They shouldn't embrace anybody in their community because a community thrives when immigrants join the residents. We bring a lot from our countries. And we like to share with everybody. We're not bad people. But we have, like I said, a lot of barriers, challenges, trying to rent a place to live. It's hard. As you heard on the Wendy's presentation, one of them is the credit. When you go to rent a place, they ask you for credit. They ask you for many things that immigrants don't have. So what happened in this situation, they have to talk to friends, or if they have family, to help them, you know, rent a place for them. And they do that, but that's why they live in silence. That's why they don't say anything, because even the rent, I mean, the contract is not on their name. You know, so they are afraid to report anything, to report mold, to report any issues in their unit. Pests, they have to live with pests, mold. In the long run, these issues affect the kids, mostly kids and adults. But kids start having issues with asthma. You know, all of this is related to these conditions. So the health hazards and the overcrowding is very visible in the families. Again, as Wendy's presentation, immigrant families, they have 5 kids, 6 kids. And then how you're going to accommodate, you know, families in the 3-bedroom unit. We had a case of a mom that she has 5 kids. They used to live in Columbia Gardens. They recently demolished to create a condominiums and townhouses. And they couldn't find anything in Arlington for her because she had 5 kids plus 2, there were 7. And nothing for them in Arlington. So they were forced to move to Falls Church. I don't want to lose my community. I want my community to be here because after the trauma that they came here undocumented, and they settled for a home or a place to call home, and later they have to be uprooted again. I want to preserve this community because you can gain a lot. You know, why we call Arlington a diverse community is because of us. And we contribute a lot. So just keep in mind that immigrants and refugees, we give a lot to the United States. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Janet. I appreciate it. I appreciate you sharing the hard conversation. Let me get back to our PowerPoint, and we have another wonderful speaker here. Evelyn Urrutia is the CEO of Tenants and Workers United. An amazing story, started as a member of the youth program, later became the lead youth organizer, and now since it says here 2016, the executive director. And I'll let her tell you all about the work of Tenants and Workers United. Really wonderful organization here, and particularly their work in mobile home parks, which I think will be interesting for those of us at Arlington that aren't familiar with that form of housing, how important that is. Evelyn.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I will talk a little bit about our organization. We have been around for more than 35 years. We organize the impacted community. We really focus on trying to develop our community to understand the whole system and for them to become the ones who create the change that they would like to see in their life when they are already settled in the United States, and especially in Virginia. We are a grassroots membership organization based. If we can go to the next slide, that would be good. We're really focusing on working with women, youth, workers, and immigrants. Next slide, please. I will talk a little bit about the mobile homes communities that we work with. We do work around housing in Alexandria and in Prince William, but in Fairfax County, we focus on the mobile homes, and I would like to share a little bit about that. Just only on Fairfax, in the county of Fairfax, we have a mobile homes community. More than 1,700 families live there. Around 80% of those families are Latinx. This is a unique way for communities to own their own homes. They own their mobile homes, but they don't own the land. A lot of the issues that we see with that, with those opportunities that bring forward community, it's around the big companies are coming in now from the outside of the state and buying this mobile home lands. A lot of the family live on the healthy, safe conditions, and the landowners are not really responding to the needs of the community. Most of the time, they really abuse it. They treat really bad our tenants, and they violate our tenants' rights. And a lot of the time, like Ms. Janet mentioning, our families are afraid to really speak up, are afraid to really fight for their rights in some way, right? To say, here's an issue. We had an agreement with you, and this is how you should fix it. So what we do as an organization is that we go into those mobile homes with the hope that we can educate our community, for our community to be active, for our community to learn what are the rights and how they can work together as a community. So we're really focusing as an organization to organize the community in a way that we host meetings just to hear what people's concerns are. We're focusing on identifying their needs. So we want to work around the needs of the community. We do a lot of one-on-one, which means we do door knocking. We visit the families, we talk to them, we build relationship. At the end of the day, it's all about building relationship. And also leadership development. We want to ensure that they understand that they have the right to not just only organize, but also the right to advocate for what they would like to see in their community. So in some of the previous slides, we show pictures of mobile homes and the conditions that the mobile homes were before we start working with them. Now things have changed, and little by little things are changing, but it required a lot of work from us as an organization to really empower these families, empowering these women for them to get organized and ask, whether it is the leaders in their county or whether it is the owners of those mobile homes lands, to really work with them to really improve the quality of life that they should have for them. So I can get the next slide, please. Here's some of the pictures just to show you a little bit that we empower our members for them to really tell their story, talk to politicians, talk to leaders, and share with them your story, but also educate the rest of the community on how important their mobile homes are, right? It's a way for them to definitely own something. And, you know, they're working hard families. They're really stable. A lot of our families have been there for 20 years, 30 years on those mobile homes. And they just not, their homes is not secured. So we see a lot of coming big corporation in and buying the land is really targeting this community for future displacement. It's really unstable community because the rent is increasing every year and the quality of life is not changing. With the pandemic, a lot of those families really were affected right and left, right? Not just only with COVID-19, but also their jobs. They lost their jobs. And a lot of them were able to get financial support, but it's not enough. We still see the community struggling. So our organization have been providing also resources for them, like food, diapers, school supply. We're connecting them to rental assistance. We're connecting them to legal support, because we see a lot of issues just besides their communities not being stable. It's just the basic needs in a daily life. It is a reality for our whole mobile home community. We're making a difference. Yes, we are. We have been securing a lot of progress on those communities. One of the pictures that we show about mobile home community, the parking lot was really destroyed. Now the parking lot look beautiful. The kids can play outside. But the only way that we create these changes is definitely connecting people to the leaders and asking the leaders to do better for those communities. A lot of families, we were able to stop them from being evicted by supporting them, connecting them with the rental release program. We referred a lot of our families to Legal Aid Justice Center, Northern Virginia legal support, just for them to support them, right? Most of the time, the landlord just wanna end their lease for something minor that sometimes it doesn't even require them to take them to court, but they're doing it. So we're working with them just to educate them and also to connect them with the legal support. We also secured more than $250,000 from Fairfax County to do home improvement, especially in one of the communities called Harmony Place. So we're doing little by little, but one of the biggest issues that the community have is that they don't own their land, and they have an opportunity for them to buy this land, but it's too late. It's really late in the process to secure the funding. For Harmony Place, for example, we did secure $8.5 million to get the land. We were trying to create like a co-op, having our communities to be part of the ownership process, but it was not done, right? We had some laws at the state level that it really the owner can decide who they want to sell it to it, and they decide not to sell to our community. So we see that a lot, that there is opportunity for our families to try to get the lands, but there is no opportunity for them to buy because of the policies that are in place. Next slide, please. So challenges. We have a lot of challenges. It's most of the time around state level, right? When we talk about our community don't have the right to offer refusal, which means they cannot buy the land. The owners can decide who they want to sell it to it. There is just only 60-day window. Also, the county doesn't have no funds for this, allocated funds for this. There's not transparency on the process. So they may know that the land is for sale, but they don't tell the community because they don't have any type of techniques on how they can involve the community into a process like that. So what we're seeing is our community at risk every day that a landlord or owner of the land decide to take to sell it, for example. That's a big risk for the community. Big road displacement, risk of increasing the rent more than what they're already paying. And we see that, and it had happened into the community in the past 2 years. So what we're doing as an organization, as we say, we're focusing on empowering our community. We want them to feel powered. We want them to understand how the system works, and we want them to advocate for what they believe they want to see it. So right now, they would like to see $30 million more into the affordable housing. And when we talk about affordable housing, we're focusing in the deep affordable housing, because most of the time we're looking at affordable housing, 60 to 80% of the median income, but most of our family who earn $50,000 a year don't fit into that category. So they make really less compared to what is expecting to be low income units, and especially on Fairfax County. also the other parties that we would like for that funding to be part of the funding to be allocated for the mobile home community. Right now, the mobile home community are not part of Fairfax County budget, and they never have seen this community that they should think about it and that they should protect. And the other one is that we want to increase the funds that they have right now, that is just only 250,000, to improve the quality and safety and repair of their homes. A lot of those mobile homes are not adequate for families to live in, and they are living there every day. And we have seen a lot of risk, but that's the only choice that they have. And this immigrant community have been living in those mobile homes for decades. So it's an opportunity for definitely Fairfax County to be part of really embracing the community, the immigrant community as a whole, as part of Fairfax. So that's the work that we're doing right now. So, you know, there is how you can support. There's so many ways you can support. You can become a member of our organization. It's $25 a year. You can make a donation, monthly donation. People do that all the time. You can sign up for our email so you can get the updates of what's going on every month. And if you want to support us by volunteering, that's a great opportunity. You can follow up on social media and tell your friends about our work. There's so many ways that you can definitely support us. We're going to be having a petition coming up, trying to tell our leaders in Fairfax to please support the mobile homes by allocating fundings for preserving those communities and improving the quality of life for those families. And on time.
Yes, perfect timing. Thank you, Evelyn. This is so helpful. Who had any ideas? 1,700 families living in mobile home parks in Fairfax County. What an important work you're doing. So we have about 27 of us here. We're going to put you into small groups to discuss. Our presenters are agreed to be scattered among the small groups. So if you have questions for them, you can ask them in your small group. Be sure to introduce yourself. We have facilitators in every group that will take notes. And when you're prompt, click, I want to join the group. And when you see the prompt to come back, please come back, because we have just a little bit right at the very end to connect with you. So Patty, if you're ready, can you get us shipped out into our small groups? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Hello,
Hi,
how are
Karen.
you? Hi,
Good. How are you?
good, how are you?
Good. See that we have 6 members in this breakout room, but most of them are on mute. Do we have a facilitator?
Hey, Wendy.
Hey.
My understanding was that the 3 speakers were among the facilitators, and then we have 3 facilitators as well. So I think you might be our facilitator.
Happy to do that. All right. Well, it's great to see everyone. And I thought that maybe we can do a really quick self intro. You all know who I am. I spoke earlier, and you also know Patty as well. Maybe Karen, we can start with you. Do you want to share really quickly your backgrounds and why you're interested in this topic and which parish you belong to?
Sure, my name is Karen. I am a member of the board of Cornerstones,
Mm.
and I'm a new member, so I've been on the board for less than a year, but and I am on the Housing Advocacy Committee. So I'm in the learning mode right now. So I'm taking this all in, and I'm looking forward to doing something good. And I am a member of Heritage Fellowship Church in Reston, Virginia.
Nice,
So we're
wonderful,
pretty active in the Reston area.
wonderful. Thank you for joining us. Susan, you want to go next? You're on mute, Susan, if you're speaking.
There, that's better.
Yes.
Yeah. Susan Elfstrom, and I have really no qualifications in this area. I'm newly retired from teaching and just concerned and hoping to learn what I can.
Great.
So
Thank you
that's
for
it.
your interest, Susan. And which parish or church are you in the
Uh, Nominally associated with St. George's.
Oh, nice, nice, great. Tomas, are you around? Maybe Tomas is not by his computer. That's okay. So yeah, so any questions or thoughts or comments based on what you have heard earlier, Susan and Karen and Patty? Feel free to just throw it out.
So I'm gonna have to hop off for a second to rearrange some group stuff, but I will be listening.
No worries. Thanks.
I was surprised to learn that there are so many mobile homes in Fairfax County.
Mhm.
And I don't know where they're located. So it would have been nice if we could have learned some of the location of where some of the mobile homes are.
Mhm.
So that was very interesting. I am a little bit familiar with how some of the housing works in Arlington. I grew up in Arlington,
Mhm.
and I'm a little more familiar with that. So that was one thing that really surprised me, was the number of mobile homes in Fairfax.
Yeah, that was something that I found super interesting as well. I never knew about that issue at all in the past. And to know that, you know, how a mobile home is a source of right financial stability for many of these families, particularly for the Latino families, really, really interesting to me as well. Yeah. Yeah, as you both know, that I worked in the refugee space as a volunteer, and certainly it's not a concept among the refugee community that I'm aware of in terms of the mobile home ownership. Um, and there's a lot of struggle with the refugee community in terms of accessing short-term as well as
Housing,
long-term housing. Yeah. But it's really fascinating, all these different aspects and facets of of issues around housing.
Now, when the residents or refugees
Hmm.
have challenges with their housing, as far as like pests and unsafe housing, what do? Who advocates for them?
Yeah, so they fortunately, as I mentioned, explained really quite briefly that there is a network of organization called resettlement agencies that is funded by the State
Okay, all
Department
right.
and the Office of Refugee Resettlement as part of the Health and Human Services that actually have case managers provide that kind
Okay,
of
okay.
wraparound services to refugees when they first come to the country. And I'm trying to mute Tomas, but I can't. Tomas,
Yeah,
let
I
me,
just wanted to interject that we're on foot. Sorry, I was waiting
no
for a
worries.
convenient time I couldn't figure out on my phone where the raise the hand thing. My apologies.
Oh, no worries. You
Uh,
wanted to really, yeah,
uh,
feel free, don't feel free to introduce yourself or interject
yeah,
anytime.
let me do that because
Yeah,
Michael's a little noisy and it's windy out,
yeah.
so I can't it might interfere. But yeah, I'm Tomas Salcedo, also from St. George's. Wendy and I know each other and have been involved in various aspects, administrative access, financial aspects. But we're part of the autism community, So we've had some experience. We're actually on Plan C of all of the arrays of group homes, apartment living, everything that is currently available. We encourage everybody to go ahead and enroll. I am retired, spent about 42 years with the Teachers Association, a national office, met my wife there. She worked for the social studies teachers. Anyway, we live in Arlington. I mean, we've lived in Arlington. That's where Michael grew up. So that's where all of the support systems are. We've downsized to move to Alexandria. But we're finding that Alexandria Falls Church, I mean, everybody's got the same challenges. But the resources, I've got a short list, but I think I'll just email it in or send it to Patty or whoever's the reporter, because just listening so far, there's just like a wealth of ideas where all that we've encountered and all that we're trying to keep abreast of kind of intersect in terms of immigrants. I was our organization's Census Bureau representative for 5 cycles. So I'm used to waiting this time of year where all of the census results come out and seeing, where all of the neighborhood changes are and things like that. So, and I guess the other piece was I was our association's credit union manager for about as long as that. Basically, I've always been kind of a volunteer, and I guess just being good at math is about my skill. But anyway, I'll put more out there so that we can kind of link up with others that are active. There's a lot of good news with the autism community. For a long time, they were everybody just invisible, because I get many aspects that we've learned about refugees and just unable to access what's there.
Yeah.
Encounters, simply because half of us.
Tomas, just so you know, the background it's a
Yeah.
little bit hard to hear you towards the end because of
Oh,
the
yeah.
in the background. Yeah.
So I'll keep it
Yeah.
short. That's me, that's us. But thank goodness this is going forward because it's a great idea. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And I am
Thank
going to
you.
mute. I mean, I'm going to go turn it off so that it doesn't bother the conversation, but we're listening. Thank you.
Thank you for joining. And I think that would be hugely helpful for you to share that resource list because as you know, we all are struggling to find resource for the various population that we're helping. But Karen, back to your question really quickly. It looks like we're coming back to the greater gathering, but the refugees, fortunately, some of the, those officially has that refugee status. So it's a very specialized status. They do get support from the Office of Refugee Resettlement as well as State Department, but it's a really short-term support. So so it's primarily first 90 days when they arrive, and after that, there is a community supporting and helping to advocate, but it's just like any other communities, right? Like we need everyone to chime in and all hands on deck, especially these days.
Okay, thank you.
Well, welcome back. Great to see you. Great to see so much energy in these discussion groups. I think our presenters were obviously full of new information and educated us so much. So I hope everyone joins me in thanking Wendy and Janet and Evelyn for your time and these wonderful presentations and for the work you do every day. You're really amazing people and you care a lot. And hopefully, by speaking to those of us here in the Episcopal community, we can share your passion and do more. We have a little ending scripture because this is a church event. We want to end with a note of, first just an announcement. Next week, we're talking about seniors and persons with disabilities. What housing challenges do they face? And we use the same Zoom link. You'll get a reminder, but I hope you come back for that next week. And I want to give a shout out, by the way, to Kathy Panville, who is one of the co-organizers of this series, and she really is passionate about immigrant issues and has been a great help. Kathy, would you mind doing this closing scripture reading? maybe I should have warned you. I was going to ask you to do this. All right. Maybe I'm surprising Kathy. Wendy, would you?
Yeah,
to do
I'm
this?
sorry. I was not mute. I was muted. Yeah,
Great. Thank you, Kathy.
okay. For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me.
This is part of our charge as Christians, isn't it? These are our commitment back to the world, to give back to others, the stranger, the sick, the immigrant, and the refugee. Here's some additional resources. We've talked about these groups, Tenants and Workers, One Journey Festival, a little article on Janet's work from Arl Now. If folks want, and again, this will be recorded, so look on the St. George's website. If folks want to stay another 2 minutes, how long is your video, Wendy?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Wendy is willing to share a video. Patty, I don't know if you can give her sharing ability. I'll stop sharing. And if you want to stay and hear a little bit more about One Journey, she's got a 2-minute video for us.
Thank you. Feel free to jump after 2 minutes. Can you all see me?
Yes. I don't hear any sound though, just.
Okay, sorry, let me reshare this, sorry. Share sound as well, okay,
Yeah, you have to enable it.
yep. Let me play this off, okay?
We decided to come here to support refugees because I'm one of them. I'm from Ukraine, and because of the war, now I'm here in the US.
As someone who's coming from Venezuela, a country that has produced many refugees, it also feels nice that I feel welcome and that everyone in here is like willing to engage with the culture and the music and all the different contributions.
I'm so thrilled to be serving as the host today for One Journey Festival. Look around. This is absolutely incredible. Dozens of countries, cultures, all coming together, along with people from the DC area, welcoming neighbors, welcoming community.
We are just so thrilled to have the opportunity to showcase the talents of the refugee contributions and having special nods to those populations that are recently affected by war and conflict.
One Journey is getting people more united as humans.
We build this festival around what we call the common languages of humanities, because it doesn't matter where we live, doesn't matter what political orientations we are all, caring more or less about food, about arts, about music, about sports. That is where we connect.
This is a magical place, a magical moment.
It's so important that we pour love into our communities to celebrate refugees and immigrants and to lift up their voices.
Behind the daunting 100 million people being displaced around the world, every one of those has a human story and have, sadness and suffering, but also have stories of triumph and resilience. And I think our job is to really elevate those stories so that people can come and know that refugees are fathers and mothers and sisters and brothers, and they're just like you and me. The message is we are traveling on many paths of life, but we are traveling on one journey of humanity all together.
We love One Journey!
Thank you, Wendy. Thanks for ending on a positive note. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Patty, for being our coordinator today. We'll see you next Sunday.
Thank you.
Patty, I think this went really well. So.
Mhm.
really good.
Kudos to
I-
all. Thank you very much. Signing off.
Thank you, Tomas. All right. Thank you, Kathy, for getting
Okay.
us Janet. I thought she did a great job. So
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
Thank you for everything to make it all work, and Patty for your help in a desperate moment.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad to help. I'm glad this went so well, and I think we did all right. Did your groups work all right? The breakout rooms?
Yeah, it worked
Yeah.
fine. Mhm.
Okay, good.
Yep.
My group was really engaged and wanted to talk, so it was fun. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
It,
Yeah,
so
we had pulled in a student, which was fun to get to see. We bring in sometimes in this group, maybe there are others that you're not anticipating, and they're going to carry this back someplace else.
We had a woman in our group who came from the DC, I'm not even sure, housing authority or something, and said she wanted to learn about it and was going to share information with her employer. So kind of cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Great. Well, a great way to end Sunday afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you again for your wonderful sermon this morning. You set the tone for the whole day.
That's right.
Well, thanks, y'all. Okay, all right, Nina, I'll see you soon, okay?
Bye.